Today, we are focusing on a topic that, if not managed properly, can cause a lot of headaches: scope creep. Later, we'll discuss my personal experience with it and give some real-life examples of how things can start going into a really bad direction, as well as how to prevent that from happening. Make sure you stick around. This will be a valuable lesson for anyone involved in project managing. So what is scope creep? In project management, scope creep refers to the uncontrolled growth of changes in a project scope at any point after the project begins. This could be due to various reasons, such as changing client requirements or additional features that weren't initially planned. You might be asking, why is scope creep such a problem? Well, it is generally considered harmful because it can significantly impact a project cost, schedule, and overall success. It can cause projects to go over budget, miss deadlines, or even not deliver the initial objectives. Now let's imagine that you are building a house based on a specific blueprint. But as the construction progresses, you decide to add an extra room, a pool, and a larger garage. Each new addition requires more resources and time, potentially causing delays and increasing costs. That's scope creep in action. So how does scope creep occur? There are a few common mistakes. One major one is a poorly defined project scope. If the project scope is not initially defined and well documented, it's easy to go beyond the initial plan. Another frequent cause is ineffective communication. If the project manager and the client aren't on the same page of what the project entails, misunderstandings can lead into changes in the project scope. Additionally, clients themselves can contribute to scope creep if they don't have a clear picture of what they want from the beginning. Also, failing to capture all the requirements in the initial planning phase can lead to scope creep. If all the information from relevant stakeholders isn't gathered, it can lead into misleading statements and missing requirements, which can easily lead to scope creep later on in the project. Imagine you are planning a birthday party and you forget to ask the birthday person about their preferred theme. You decided on a superhero theme, but then later on you realize that they wanted a space theme. Now you have to change everything last minute, and that's scope creep. Now that we understand what scope creep is and why it's a problem, let's discuss how to manage it. First strategy is to set clear project requirements. This involves a comprehensive investigation by the project manager in the initial planning phase. It's important to gather all information from relevant stakeholders to create a complete and comprehensive scope statement. This way, everyone on the team understands the project requirements thoroughly before execution begins. The second way is to set expectations. From the start, you need to ensure that everyone involved in the project has the same understanding of what's expected. This includes the project's objectives, timelines, deliverables, and any potential constraints. Setting expectations can also include educating the client about the impact of changes of the project's cost and timeline. The third strategy to manage scope creep is to avoid unexpected complexity. Sometimes, project teams can start adding additional features to impress the client. However, this might backfire, causing a lot more work and throwing off the project scope. It's like deciding to bake a 3-layered cake instead of a simple 1-layer cake for a party. It might impress the guests, but it also requires more ingredients, time, and effort. Plus, if the guests were expecting a simple cake, they might not even appreciate the extra layers. The fourth strategy is to build in a planned contingency. No matter how well you plan, unforeseen changes can occur. That's why it's important to include contingency time in your project schedule to accommodate potential changes. It's like when you're traveling to an unfamiliar place. You might add extra time to your schedule in case you get lost or encounter traffic. In the same way, adding contingency to your project can help you manage any unexpected changes that might occur. The fifth and final strategy is to avoid just saying okay to everything. It can be tempting to agree to every change or additional feature that the client requests. However, it's important to consider the impact of those changes on the project's scope, timeline, and cost. It's important to negotiate and find a balance between what the client wants and what's feasible within the project's constraints. It's like when you have a buffet. You might want to try everything, but you have to consider your appetite and the size of the plate. Now, I'd like to share a personal experience I had with scope creep. A few years back, I was managing a project to develop a new software application. The initial project scope was clearly defined and we had a solid plan in place. However, as the project progressed, the client started to request additional features. At first, we thought we could accommodate those requests without affecting the project timeline or budget. But as more and more requests came in, we realized that the project scope was creeping. We had to sit down with the client and explain the situation. We showed them how these additional features were affecting the project's cost and timeline. After some negotiation, we were able to agree on a revised scope that was satisfactory for both parties. This experience taught me the importance of clear communication and setting expectations from the start. It also highlighted the importance of having a process in place to manage changes and scope creep. So now that we have a good grasp of scope creep and feature creep, let's dive deeper into some specific examples of Amazon-related projects, since this is our main field of work. Imagine you're an Amazon seller and you decided to build a custom software application to manage your product listings using the SP API. Initially, the scope of the project was to list, update and delete products. However, as the development progresses, you start thinking about the potential of adding some additional features. Suddenly, you want the software not only to manage listings, but to handle order fulfillment, process payments and manage returns. While these are all useful features, they can significantly expand the project scope and lead to scope creep. Now let's consider you're an Amazon agency building a marketing tool for your clients using the Amazon Ads API. Originally, the tool was supposed to just track and analyze ad performance. However, you realize the potential of adding features like automatic bid adjustment and keyword optimization. Again, while these features could provide value, they were not part of the initial project scope and could lead to feature creep. This, in turn, could cause project delays, increased costs, and compromise the quality of the end product. In all these cases, it's crucial to have robust project management practices in place to handle feature and scope creep. By following the principles we've discussed, setting clear project requirements, setting expectations, avoiding unexpected complexity, building in a planned contingency, and learning to say no when necessary, you can effectively manage scope and feature creep, deliver successful projects, and drive the business forward. Remember, it's not about preventing changes, but managing them in a way that ensures the project's success. So that's all about scope creep. What is it? Why it's a problem? How it occurs? And how to manage it. Remember, scope creep is not always bad. Sometimes it can lead to better results. The key is to manage it properly so it doesn't derail your project. I hope you found this discussion helpful. Thanks for watching.